You will give explanations. That what is the real meaning? And the real meaning is always obvious. There is no need to give any explanation. All explanations are to explain away. To bring something which was not there. Gurus, disciples, awakened ones and ignorant ones. And this is a great play, a cosmic play. Ignorant ones need awakened ones. Awakened ones cannot play solo alone. They need ignorant ones. But the master noticed that this is a play and is not serious about it. Third question. You said last night that a change in the outer or inner and physical or mental aspects can bring a change in consciousness. That means changes on the periphery also affect the consciousness, the center. But then why do you emphasize changing the center instead of changing the outer, the periphery? This is the trouble. That you go on catching the words and missing the meaning. The periphery also belongs to you. It is part of the center. The periphery is part of the center. The outer part of the center. But the periphery is much different from the center. Can you create a periphery without the center? Or can you create a center without the periphery? They are not separate. They are one. The periphery is the center looked from without. If you change your periphery, the center will also be affected. For two reasons, that the periphery is part of the center, and for second reason, who will change the periphery? The center. Who will change the periphery? The center will change the periphery. But my emphasis to start the work from the center is still there. Because if you start changing the periphery, it will take longer time to reach to the center. That which can be done in a single moment may take many lives. Because you have to travel from the periphery to the center, backwards. From the superficial to the depth. If you start work from the center, then the periphery automatically changes. When the center is different, the periphery will follow it. Because the periphery cannot go away from you. For example, I will not say to you that try to be non-violent on the periphery. It is unnecessary, wastage of time and effort. Be non-violent at the heart. Be compassionate, loving at the heart. The periphery will follow. You can forget it completely. Because whatsoever happens on the periphery comes from the center. So if on the center you are compassion, the periphery will follow. And this compassion will be totally different. Because the periphery will not know that this is compassion. The periphery will not feel elated that this is compassion. The periphery will be blissfully unaware. The compassion will follow you like a shadow. And this is the easiest course. What I mean is this. If you want to change a tree, change the roots. Of course, the leaves of the tree are also the tree. And you can try to change the leaves also. And if you change the leaves, the roots will be affected, but this is going to be a very long process. Because the flow is from the roots to the leaves. The flow is not from the leaves to the root. You are following a reverse direction than nature. If you go on changing the leaves, in many, many lives, you may affect the pattern of the roots. But this is going to be unnecessarily long. You can do it immediately if you change the pattern in the roots. The leaves will change and will become different. So when I emphasize the center, I don't mean that the periphery is separate from the center. And when I emphasize the center, I don't mean that you cannot affect the center from the periphery. You can. But this is the longest route possible. If you choose to travel long, it is up to you. Nothing is wrong in it. If you enjoy the journey, then the long route is good. If you just want to see the side views, then the long route is good. Otherwise, start from the center. And this is like this. We are sitting here. You are listening to me. So a center is created in this room. You become the periphery, I become the center. A group soul exists. You are centered toward me. If someone wants to affect this room and this group soul, it is better to start from me than from you. Because if I change my mind, effects will be coming sooner. But if someone starts with you, then it is going to be a very long effort. Because you are men, one thing. And first he changes you one by one. And then he will try to change me through you. This is going to be very long. And it may not succeed ever. The other is easier. If he changes me, and if you are attached to me as a center, immediately effects will be there. In your body, in your being, the same phenomenon is happening. There is a center, and there is the periphery of your life. Direct hit at the center, and the periphery will follow. It has to follow. There is no other go. Changing the periphery is a piecemeal affair. And you change one fragment, and 99 other fragments remain the old. When you move to the other fragment, those 99 will change this one, which you were trying to change. They will make it again the old. The whole pattern will be against it. I can change your one habit. Much effort will be needed. But your whole pattern, because your center goes on giving you all old habits, only one habit I change, and there are 1,000 habits. This change habit is just from the surface, forced. The moment you become unaware, all other habits and the pattern will change it again into the old. So much effort is wasted working on the periphery. I have seen people who have been working their whole life for ordinary things. Someone is trying to stop smoking the whole life. And this has been the whole aim, the only aim, and they have not achieved it. I tell to such people that even if you achieve it, what is achieved? The whole life is lost just to stop smoking. This is not work. And when you reach to the divine source, to God, you can only say that I have stopped smoking. So this won't look worth telling. And the whole life, and even that is not achieved. This is piecemeal work. And the problem is not smoking. You are fighting against the current by changing a small wave. And the whole river goes on, and you change one wave, and the whole river will change the wave again into itself. Because the pattern, the built-in pattern goes on being fled from the center to the periphery. It is a built-in program. Whatsoever is happening on the periphery has happened already in the center. That's why it is happening there. Periphery comes to know about things which have been happening very deeply. Move to the cause. And don't be too much concerned with the effect. This is scientific. Change the center. Don't try to stop smoking. Don't try to stop this and that. Follow the deepest pattern. Why smoking is there. Why this obsession to sex is there. Why this obsession to money is there. Why you are a miser. Why you go and cling with dead money. You can donate it. It will not make any difference. Donation will not help. You will again gather. And donation itself will be an investment for the future. It will be part of your bank balance. You cannot donate just in play, can you? You can donate very seriously. When it is said that donation will lead you to heaven, then you can donate. To me, a donator who is giving his money for some future end in paradise is more clinging to the money than a person who can throw all his fortune in a game of cards. He is less greedy. He can play with it. And his achievement is deeper. He may look immoral, because morality is created by the donators. They will see you are wasting money. They never waste money. They always invest. And this man is mad, immoral, wasting money. But this man is less greedy. And this man can move deeper, easily, than this greedy man who is donating for some paradise or something. You can change outer things, but even the change will have deep down the same pattern. The pattern has to be uprooted and transformed. That's why I emphasize, start from the center. But don't think that I mean that if you cannot start from the center, then don't start from the periphery. That is not what I mean. If you can't start from the center, please start from the periphery. Something is better. It will take much time, or you may not ever be able. But still the very effort will be good. I am reminded of one incident. In one waiting room of an airport, one young woman was crying steadily. Everyone was aware around, but no one knew what to do. Then one fellow took courage. He came near the woman, tried to console her, said some soothing things, put his arm around her, and asked, "What can I do? Is there anything that I can do to help you to stop crying?" But she was not listening. She continued crying, so he squeezed her a little more tightly. And then again asked, "Is there anything that I can do to stop you crying?" The woman said at last, "I'm afraid not. This is hay fever. But still, please, keep on trying." That's what I say to you. From periphery, it is difficult. It is a hay fever. It is almost impossible. But please, keep on trying. Something may happen. Who knows? But if you are really interested, start from the center. Fourth question. Why should there be a difference in techniques for men and women? Because they are different. They are as different as possible. They are polar opposites. Really, the more relevant question will be this: why should there be similar techniques? And there are techniques which are being used by both men and women, not because they suit to women, but really because never special techniques were developed for them. They have been neglected part of humanity. And all the techniques were developed by man. Basically, man was experimenting with himself. He knew about his energy pattern, his roots of energy, passages of energy. He worked on them, and he was talking to other men. So techniques were developed by man, for man. Women were never considered. In a Mohammedan mosque, women cannot enter. They are not to be a part of Islam really. Only for men, the mosque exists. Buddha for many years insistently denied that women should be initiated. Mahavir initiated many women. He never denied them initiation. But no techniques were developed for them. All the techniques were for men. Women worked through them. That's why the results were never so miraculous. Never. They were always so. Bound to be. Really, there is no need for 300 religions in the world. There are only need for 2 religions, one for men and one for women. And those 2 religions need not be in conflict. They can be married together. They will become one. There is no need of any conflict. If a man and woman can fall in love and live together as a single unit, those 2 religions can fall in love. They should. The whole physiology, psychology, every layer of feminine consciousness is different from man. Just the opposite, not only different. For example, Kundalini Yoga. It is not for women at all. But many will be shocked if I say that. And particularly women will be shocked. They will think something has been taken away from their hands. It is not for them at all. Because Kundalini is based on the positive sex center for men. The positive sex center is at the root of the penis for men, not for women. For women, that center is negative. So energy cannot be raised from negative centers. So almost always this is the case, and this is my observation. And whenever women say that they are feeling Kundalini arising in them, they are imagining. It cannot happen, but they are very imaginary. More imaginary than men. So if I work with 10 women and 10 men, out of 10 women, 9 will feel the energy arising. And only 1 man will feel. And this is miraculous because it cannot happen. They go on coming to me and I say, okay, it is happening. What to do? It is impossible, scientifically impossible, because energy can come only from a positive pole. Totally different techniques should be developed. Totally different techniques. But because men and women live so near, so together, they go on forgetting that they are different. Nothing is similar. And it is good that nothing is similar. That's why they can become one circle of energy. They are complementary. They fit into each other as anything. But they fit. That doesn't mean that they are similar. They fit because they are not similar. And whenever 2 similar types of bodies and minds try to fit into each other, this is perversion. So I say homosexuality is a perversion. In the West now it is becoming more and more prevalent. Now homosexuals think they are progressives. They have their clubs, parties, institutions, magazines, propaganda, everything. And their number is rising. In certain countries it has come near about 40%. Sooner or later, homosexuality will become a pattern all over, a normal pattern. Now even certain states in America are allowing homosexual marriage. You have to allow if people insist, because government has to serve the people. If 2 men want to live together in marriage, it is no one's business to create obstacles. It's okay. If 2 women want to live together married, then no one's business. That is their own affair. But this is basically unscientific. It is their affair but unscientific. It is their affair and no one needs to interfere. But their minds are unenlightened about the very basic pattern of human energy and its movement. Homosexuals cannot develop spiritually. Very difficult. Their whole pattern of energy movement is disturbed. The whole mechanism is fogged, perverted. And now, if homosexuality grows too much in the world, then very different techniques will have to be developed, unknown before, to help them to move towards meditation. When I say a man and woman are 2 counterparts of one whole, I mean they are complementary. And the complementariness is possible only when their opposite poles meet. Look at it in this way. The vagina is the negative pole in feminine body, and the breasts are the positive pole. And this is the rod of magnetism. Positive pole near the breast, negative pole near the vagina. For men, negative pole at the breast, positive pole at the penis. So when breasts meet, male and female, negative and positive are meeting. And when sex centers meet in coitus, negative and positive are meeting. Now both magnetic rods are meeting at their opposite poles. Now a circle is there. The energy can flow. Now the energy can move. But this circle will happen only when a man and woman are in love. If they are not in love, then only their sex centers will meet. One positive pole will meet with one negative pole. There will be an exchange of energy but linear. Circle cannot be made. That's why without love, you never feel satisfied. Sex without love becomes just trifle. It is not deep moving. Energy moves, but in a line. Circle is not made. And when circle is there, you become one, not before it. When you are deep in love, then breasts also meet, never before. So sex act is very easy. Love act is more complex. Sex act is just physical. Two energies meeting and dissipating. Then if there is only sex, sooner or later you will feel frustrated. You waste energy. And nothing is gained. The gain happens only when there is circle. If the circle is totally there, then both the partners will come out of sex act more energetic, more alive, more energy flowing, charged. If there is only sex act, both partners will come out of it discharged, faint. They have lost energy. Sleep will follow, because just they are feeling weak. In this one pole meeting, men are at more loss than women. That's why women can become prostitutes. Because the positive pole is men, women is negative pole. Energy flows from men to women, not vice versa. So a woman can make 20 or 30 sex acts in one night. A man cannot. A man cannot make 2. It depends on age, because his energy is moving and nothing is gained. So to me, if prostitution is bad, it is not because of prostitution. It is because circle is impossible. You are not charged. You simply waste your energy. If there is love, then man and woman meet on 2 poles. Man gives to woman and the woman returns back. And this is reciprocal, mutual. Meditation will be good for females to start from the breast. That is their positive pole. Because of this, many strange things become possible, happen. Man always likes to enter the woman immediately. He is not interested in foreplay, because his positive pole is always ready. And women are always reluctant to enter into sex act immediately without any foreplay, because their negative pole is not ready. And it cannot be ready unless the man starts loving the woman from the breast. The negative pole will not be ready. They can yield, but they will not participate. And man thinks sex act is simple. Why waste time? Enter the woman immediately. And he is finished within minutes. But the woman was not a part. She was not aroused. That's why women hanker. Their lovers should touch their breasts, love their breasts. A deep hankering. Only when their breasts have become filled with energy, then their second pole of the magnetic rod responds. That is negative. Then they are alive to it. Then they can participate. Then communication is possible. And then they will melt. Foreplay is a must. Marriages become dry. Because in the beginning, when you meet a new woman, you foreplay with her body, because you are not certain whether she will allow you direct approach. So you play. You just feel the ground, whether she is ready. But when she is your wife, you take her granted. There is no need. Wives are so much dissatisfied with their husbands. Not because their husbands are not loving, they are wrongly loving. They don't think that a woman exists in a different way. Her body responds in a different way, just opposite to them. But this concentration at the best, melting into it, will give a new feeling to the female meditators. A new feeling about her own body. Because from the center now, she can feel the whole body vibrating. Just by loving the breasts of a woman, she can be brought to a deep orgasm. Because the negative pole automatically will go on responding. There are many other things. If you start from the breast, meditating on the nipples, don't follow the route that you have read in the books, because that is meant for men. You simply don't follow any charge. Allow the energy itself to move. It will happen in this way. Just a vague suggestion. Then first your breast will become filled with energy. They will radiate energy. They will become hot. And then immediately your vagina will respond. And only after your vagina responds and vibrates, Kundalini for you, for women, will start working. And the route will be different. And the way the Kundalini will arise will be different. In men, it arises very actively, forcibly. That's why they have called it the serpent rising. Very forcibly, suddenly, with a jerk, the serpent unfolding. And it is felt on many points. Those points are called chakras. Wherever there is resistance, the snake forces itself. It is just like the penis entering the vagina. The similar is the passage for men. when the energy arises as if the penis inside is moving. And the snake is a phallic symbol. Really, not to use direct language, not to call it penis, they have called it a snake. You must have heard this story in the Garden of Eden, where the serpent persuaded Eve to eat the fruit of the tree of knowledge. Now, scholars are working and they say that this serpent is also just a phallic symbol. Not to say it directly. So it is not a question really of eating the fruit of knowledge. It is a question of sexuality. And the similar symbol has been used in India. The serpent rises, just like a penis erecting in jerks, moving inwards. This will not be the feeling for a woman. The feeling will be the quite opposite. When a woman feels that the penis has entered in the vagina, the melting sensation, the welcoming, the vagina giving way, vibrating very, very delicately, in a very receptive mood, loving, welcoming. The same will be the phenomena inside. When the energy will rise, it will be a receptive, passive rise. As if a passage is opening, not a serpent rising, but a door opening, and a passage opening, and something giving way. It will be passive and negative. With men, something is entering. With women, something is opening, not entering. But no one has worked about it, never before, because no one has taken any cognizance of women. But for the future, I think, now it is a must. And the feminine body should not be neglected. Much research and work is needed. But it is so difficult to work, because of so much Puritan, moralistic nonsense. It is so difficult to work. And to create a map, how feminine body will respond to the phenomena. But this is how I feel it will be. Everything will be just the opposite. It must be so. It cannot be similar. The ultimate thing will be the same. Enough for today?
2. The Book of the Secrets, a new commentary. Discourse number 29, given in Bombay, India.
Man is born alone, dies alone. But just in between these 2 points, he lives in the society, lives with others. Aloneness is his basic reality. Society is just accidental. And unless man can live alone, know his aloneness in its total depth, he cannot be acquainted with himself. All that happens in society is just outer. It is not you. It is just your relations with others. You remain unknown. Nothing can reveal you from the outside. But we live with others. Because of this, self-knowledge is completely forgotten. You know about yourself something, not directly. It is said to you by others. And this is strange, absurd, that others should tell you about yourself. Whatsoever identity you carry is given to you by others. It is not real. It is just a labeling. A name is given to you. That name is given as a label because it will be difficult for the society to be related with a nameless person. Not only the name is given, the very image that you think yourself is given by the society, that you are good, that you are bad, that you are beautiful, that you are intelligent, that you are moral, a saint, or whatsoever. The image, the form is also given by society. But you don't know who you are. Neither your name reveals anything, nor the form that society has given to you. You remain to yourself unknown. This is the basic anxiety. You are there, unknown to yourself. This unknownness towards oneself is the ignorance. And this ignorance cannot be destroyed by any knowledge which others can give to you. They can say to you that you are not this name, you are not this form, you are soul eternal. But that too is given by others. That too is not immediate. Unless you come to yourself directly, you will remain in ignorance. And ignorance creates anxiety. You are not afraid of others only, you are afraid of yourself. Because you don't know who you are and what is hidden in you, what is possible. Next moment what will erupt out of you. You don't know. You go on trembling. Life becomes a deep anxiety. There are many problems which create anxiety, but those problems are secondary. If you penetrate deeply, then every problem ultimately will reveal that the basic anxiety, the basic anguish is that you are ignorant of yourself, of the source from where you come, of the end where you are moving, of the being who you are right now. Hence, every religion says to move into solitude, into aloneness, so that you can leave society for a time being, and all that society has given to you, and you can face yourself directly. Mahavir lived for 12 years alone in the forest. He will not speak in those days, because the moment you speak, you have moved into society. Language is society. He remained completely silent. He will not speak. So the basic bridge has been cut. He will be alone. When you don't speak, you are alone, deeply alone. Then there is no way to move to the other. For 12 long years, he lived alone without speaking. What he was doing? He was trying to find out who he is. And it is better to put all the labels. It is better to move from others, so that there is no need for the social image. He was destroying the social image. He was throwing away all the garbage that the society has given. He was trying to be totally naked, without any name, without any form. That is what Mahavir's nakedness means. It was not just throwing away the clothes. It was deeper. It was this nudity of being totally alone. Because clothes are also you are using for the society. They are to hide your body, or they are to cover the eyes of others. Because society doesn't approve your whole body. So whatsoever society doesn't approve, you have to hide it. Only particular parts of the body are allowed to be in open. The society chooses you in parts. Your totality is not approved, not accepted. The same is happening with the mind also, not only with body. Your face is approved, your hands are approved, but your whole body is not approved. Particularly, the body that can give any hint of sex is disapproved, not accepted. Hence, so much importance of clothes. And this is happening with mind also. Your total mind is not accepted. Only parts of it. So you have to hide the mind and suppress it. You cannot open your mind. You cannot open your mind to your deepest friend, because he will also judge. He will say, this is what you think? This is what goes on in your mind? So you have to give him only that which can be accepted. A very minute part. And all else that is in you has to be hidden completely. That hidden part creates many diseases. The whole psychoanalysis of Freud consists only of bringing the hidden out. It takes years. And the person is healed. And the psychoanalyst is not doing anything. He is simply bringing the suppressed out. Just to bring it out becomes a healing force. What does it mean? It means the suppressed is the illness. It is a burden, heavy burden. You want it to confess to someone. You want it to tell, to express. You want that someone should accept you in totality. And that is what love means. And you will not be rejected, whatsoever you are. Good, bad, saintly, sinner. Someone will accept you in your totalness. He will not reject any part of you. That's why love is the greatest healing force. That is the oldest psychoanalysis. Whenever you love a person, you are open to him. And just by being open, your cut, divided parts are brought together, you become one. But even love has become impossible. Even with your wife, you cannot tell the truth. Even with your lover, you cannot be totally authentic. Because even his or her eyes are judging. He or she also wants an image to be followed, an ideal. Your reality is not important. The ideal is important. You know that if you express your totality, you will be rejected. You will not be loved. You are afraid. And because of this fear, love becomes impossible. Psychoanalysis brings the hidden part out. And the psychoanalyst is not doing anything, he is simply sitting there, listening to you. No one has listened to you, it seems. That's why you need now a professional help. No one is ready to listen to you. No one has the time. No one is so much interested in you. Professional need has come into being. Someone you are paying to listen. And then year in, year out, he will listen to you every day or twice a week or thrice a week. And you will be healed. This is miraculous. Why you should be healed just by listening? Someone pays attention to you without any judgment. You can tell anything that is in you. And just by telling it comes up and becomes a part of the conscious. When you cut something, deny something, prohibit something, suppress something, you are creating a division between the conscious and unconscious, the accepted and the rejected. This division has to be thrown. So Mahavir moves into loneliness so that he can be as he is, and no fear of anybody. He is not to show some face to anybody, so he can throw all the masks, all the faces, and he will be alone, totally naked as he is, under the skies, under the stars, before the river and in the forest. No one will judge him, and no one will say, you are not allowed to be like this, you should behave, you should be like this. Leaving society means leaving that situation where suppression has become inevitable. So nudity means to be as one is, with no barriers, no withholding. Mahavir moved into silence, into loneliness, and he said, unless I find myself, not the self that others have given to me. That is false. But the self that I am born with, I will not return to society. Unless I know who am I will not return to society. Unless I have come directly face to face with my reality, unless I have encountered the essential in me, not the accidental, I will not speak, because it is useless to speak. You are the accidental. Whatsoever you think you are is the accidental part. For example, you are born in India. You could have been born in England, or in France, or in Japan. That is accidental part. But just being born in India, you have a different type of identity. You are a Hindu. You think yourself a Hindu. You would have thought yourself a Buddhist in Japan, and a Christian in England, and a communist in Russia. Because you have not done anything to be a Hindu. It is just accident. So wherever you were, you would have joined yourself with the situation. You think yourself religious. Your religion is just accidental. If you were born in a communist country, you would not have been religious. You would have been as irreligious as you are religious here. You are born into a Jain family. You don't believe in God. Not that you have discovered that there is no God. And just by the side of your house, another child is born on the same day, but he is a Hindu. He believes in God and you don't believe in God. This is accidental. This is not essential. It depends on circumstances. You speak Hindi, someone speaks Gujarati, someone speaks French. These are accidents. Language is accidental. Silence is essential. Language is accidental. Your soul is essential. Your self is accidental. And to find the essential is the search, the only search. How to find the essential? Buddha also moves in silence for 6 years. Jesus moves into deep forest. His followers want to come with him, the apostles. They follow him. Then at a point he says, stop. You should not come with me. Now I must be alone with my God. He moves into wilderness. When he comes back, he is totally a different man. He has faced himself. Loneliness becomes the mirror. Society is a deception. That's why you are always afraid of being alone. Because you will have to know yourself. And you will have to know yourself in your nudity, in your nakedness. You are afraid. To be alone is difficult. Whenever you are alone, immediately you start doing something so that you are not alone. You may start reading a newspaper, or you may put on the TV, or you may go to some club to meet some friend, to visit some family, but you must do something. Why? Because the moment you are alone, your identity melts. All that you know about yourself becomes false. And all that is real starts bubbling up. All religions say that man must move into solitariness to know himself. One need not be there forever. That's futile. But one has to be in solitude for a time, for a period. And the period will depend on each individual. How long? Muhammad was in solitude, Jesus was, Mahavir, Buddha, everyone. But it depends. Mahavir was for 12 years and Buddha was only for 6 years. And Jesus was only for a few days and Muhammad was only for a few months. It depends. But unless you come to the point where you can say, now I have known the essential, it is a must to be alone. This technique is concerned with loneliness. First technique, abide in some place, endlessly spacious, clear of trees, hills, habitations, thence comes the end of mind pressures. So before we enter this technique, few other points about loneliness must be understood. One, to be alone is basic, foundational. That's how your being is. In the mother's womb, you are alone. Totally alone. And psychologists say that this hankering for nirvana, for enlightenment, for salvation, for paradise, is really a deep imprinted memory of the experience of mother's womb. You have known it, the total aloneness and the bliss of it. You were alone. You were God. No one else was there. No one disturbed you. No one interfered. Alone, you were the master. With no conflict. The peace was intrinsic. Silence was there. No language. You were deep in yourself. You are not consciously aware of the fact, but it is deeply imprinted. It is there, hidden and unconscious. Because of this, psychologists say that everyone thinks that life in childhood was beautiful. And every country and every race thinks that somewhere in the past was the golden age. Somewhere in the past. Life was blissful. Hindus call it Satyug, the age of truth. In the past, somewhere very, very past, before history began, everything was beautiful and blissful. There was no conflict, no strife, no violence. Only love prevailed. That was the golden age. Christians say that Adam and Eve lived in Eden, in the garden, in absolute innocence and blissfulness. Then came the fall. So the golden age is before the fall. Every country, every race, every religion believes somewhere in the past was the golden age. And the strangeness is this, that howsoever deeply in the past you move, this was always believed so. Always. One stone has been found in Mesopotamia, 6,000 years old. There is one inscription on it. If you read it, you will feel this is the editorial of today's morning newspaper. The inscription says, this age is the age of sin. Everything has gone wrong. The son doesn't believe the father. The wife doesn't believe in the husband. Darkness has set. And where are those days of the past, those golden days? 6,000-year-old inscription. Laos says that in the days of past, in the days of the ancients, everything was beautiful. Then Tao prevailed. Then there was nothing wrong. And because there was nothing wrong, no one preached. Because there was nothing wrong to be changed, transformed. There was no priest, no preacher. There were no moral leaders. Because everything was so right. Laos says in those days, old days, there was no religion. There was no need. Tao prevailed. Everyone was so religious that there was no need of any religion. There were not sages then, because there were no sinners. Everyone was such a sage, and so naturally, that no one was aware who is a sage and who is a sinner. Psychologists say that this past never existed. This past is just the deep memory within every individual of the womb. That existed. Really, there was Tao in the womb. And everything was beautiful. Everything was as it should be. Completely unaware of the world, the child was moving in bliss. The situation of a child in the womb is just the same as it is for Vishnu on his Sesnag. In the ocean of bliss, Hindus believe Vishnu is lying on his couch, serpent couch, floating. Really, that is the child's position in the womb. The child floats. The mother's womb is just like ocean. And you may be surprised. The water in which the child floats in the mother's womb has the same constituents as the ocean water. They're similar. The same salts, everything. It is ocean water. Soothing. And the womb is always keeps the temperature, right temperature for the child. The mother may be shivering in cold. That makes no difference. For the child, it is always the same temperature in the womb. Warm, blissfully floating, with no worries, no anxieties, no responsibilities. Alone. He is not aware of the mother. Mother doesn't exist for him. This sanskar, this imprint is carried on by you. This is the basic reality, how you were before you entered society. And this will be the reality again when you go out of society and die. You will again be alone. And between these 2 points of loneliness, your life is filled with many events. But those events are accidental. Deep down you remain alone, because that is your basic reality. On that aloneness, many things happen. You get married, you become 2, and then you get children, and you become many. Everything goes on happening, but just on the periphery. Deep stratum remains totally alone. That's your reality. You may call it your Atma, the essence. In deep solitude, this essence has to be recaptured. So when Buddha says that he has achieved Nirvana, really he has achieved this loneliness, this basic reality. When Mahavir says he has achieved the Kaivalya, the very word Kaivalya means loneliness, the alone. Just under the turmoil of events, that aloneness is there. It runs through you like a thread running in a mala. The beads are apparent. The thread is not apparent. But the beads are hanging on the thread. And beads are many and the thread is one. Really, mala is a symbol of this reality. Thread is the reality. And the beads are just the events which go on hanging on it. And unless you penetrate and come to the basic thread, you will be in anguish. You will be in suffering. You have a history. That history is the accidental. And you have a nature. That nature is non-historical. You are born on a certain date, to certain parents, in a certain society, in a certain age. You are educated in a certain way. Then you enter a particular profession. Then you fall in love with a woman. Then you get children. And this whole drama are beats. Events, history. But deep down, you are always alone. And if you forget yourself completely in the events, you have missed the very purpose of being here. Then you have lost yourself into the drama. And you have forgotten the actor who was not part of it, who was just playing the role. All these are roles. Because of this, We have not written histories. Really, it is very difficult to be certain about when Krishna was born, when he died, when Rama was born, when he died, and whether ever he was born or not, are just a myth. We have not written the history. And the reason is this: we are concerned with the thread and not with the deeds. Really, in the religious world, Christ is the first historical person. But had he been born in India, he would not have been historical. Then we are always looking after the thread, and beats are irrelevant. But in the West, they are more oriented towards events, facts, temporal, than to the essential and the eternal. History is the drama. We say in India that Ramas, Krishnas, they go on being born in every age. They have been repeated many times before, and they will be repeated many times afterwards. So no need to carry on the records when they are born. That is irrelevant. What is their being, the thread? That is meaningful. So we are not concerned whether they were really historical persons or not. We are not concerned with outer things that happen to a being. We are concerned with the being itself, whether anything happens to it or not. When you move in solitude, you are moving to the thread. When you move into solitude, you are moving into nature. If you are really alone, not even thinking of others, for the first time you will feel the world that is of nature around you. You will become attuned to it. Now you are attuned to society. If you fall from this attunement from society, you will be attuned to nature. Then rains come. They are always coming. But you cannot understand the language of the rains. They don't say anything to you. They don't mean anything to you. At the most, some utilitarian thing, that water is needed. So, some use is there, but you don't have any dialogue. You cannot understand the language of the rains. The rain has not a personality. But if you leave society for a time being, remain into aloneness, you will start feeling new phenomena. The rains will come and they will talk to you. Then you will feel the moods. Someday the rain is very angry, and someday it is very soothing and loving. Someday the whole sky is depressed, and someday it is dancing. Someday the sun rises as if without any will, forced, doing the work. And someday on its own. Now it is not a work, but a play. You will feel all the moods around you. The nature has its own language, but it is silent. And unless you are silent, you cannot understand it. The first layer of attunement is with society. The second layer of attunement is with nature. And the third layer, the deepest, is with Tao or Dharma. And that is the pure existence. Then the tree, then the rains, then the clouds, they are also left behind. Then just existence. Existence has no moods. Existence is always the same. Existence is always the same, always festive, exploding with energy. But first one has to move from the society to nature, and then from nature to existence. When you are attuned with existence, you are totally alone. And this aloneness is different from the aloneness of the child in the womb. Because child is alone, not really that he is alone, but he is unaware of anything else. He is enclosed into darkness. That's why he feels alone. The whole world exists around him. He is not aware of it. His aloneness is that of ignorance. When you become consciously silent, one with existence, your aloneness will not be surrounded by darkness. It will be surrounded by light. For the child in the womb, the world is not because he is unaware. For you, the world will not be because the world and you have become one. When you reach the deepest being, you are alone again, because the ego is lost. The ego is given by society. It can persist a little even when you are in nature. It will not be so much as it is in society. When you move alone, your ego starts disappearing, because it is always in relationship. Look at this phenomena. With every individual, your ego changes. You are talking to your servant. Look inside. Look at the ego, how it is. You are talking to your friend. Look within, how the ego is. You are talking with your beloved. Look within, whether the ego is or is not. You are talking to an innocent child. Look within. The ego will not be there, because it will be stupid to be egoist with an innocent child. Even you will feel this is stupid. So while playing with children, you become a child, because this is stupid. The child doesn't know the language of ego. And you will look awkward being egoistic with a child. So when you play with children, they pull you down. They bring you back to your own childhood. When you are talking with a dog or playing with a dog, the ego cannot exist. The ego that the society has given to you. Because with the dog, there is no question of ego. But You are walking with your dog and someone crosses the street and you have a very beautiful and costly dog. Even the dog gives you ego. But the dog is not giving you the ego, the man who passes. You become straight. You feel elated. You have a very beautiful dog. And the man looks jealous. The ego is there. If you move into a forest, the ego will disappear. Hence the insistence of all religions to move, at least for a time being, into the world of nature. This sutra is simple. Abide in some place endlessly spacious, on some hilltop, from where you can see endlessly. The vision never comes to any end. If you can see endlessly and there is no end to your vision, the ego will dissolve. Ego needs limits, boundaries. More defined the boundaries, easier it is for the ego to exist. Abide in some place endlessly spacious, clear of trees, hills, habitations. Thence comes the end of mind presses. And mind is so subtle. You can live on a hilltop and there is no one, but you can see deep down in the valley a cottage. You will start talking with that cottage. You will be in relationship with it. The society has come in. You don't know who lives there, but someone lives there. And that becomes the boundary. And you will start dreaming about who lives there. And your eyes will search someday to see who lives there. The cottage will become a symbol of humanity. So the sutra says, without habitats, even without trees, because it has been known that people who live alone, they start talking with trees. They make friendship. They create a dialogue. You cannot understand the difficulty of a man who has gone to be lonely. He wants someone. He will say hello to the tree. How are you? And trees are beings. If you are really honest, they will reply. They will start replying. And there will be a response. So you can create society. The meaning is this, that be in some place and be alert that you don't create a society again. You may start tendering a tree, loving a tree. You may feel that the tree is feeling thirsty. Bring some water. You have started relationship. With relationship, you are not alone. So this is the emphasis, that move to such a place and with this mind that you are not going to create any relationship. Leave all relationship and the world of relationship behind and be alone there. In the beginning it is going to be very difficult because your mind is created by the society. You can leave the society where you will leave the mind. The mind will follow you like a shadow. The mind will haunt you. The mind will start torturing you. Faces will come in dreams. They will try to pull you. You will try to meditate, but thoughts will not cease. You will start thinking of the house. You will start thinking of your wife, of your children. It is human. It is not going to happen to you only. It has happened to Buddha, to Mahavir. It has happened to everyone. Even a Buddha is bound to think of Yasodhara. Long 6 years loneliness. In the beginning, when the mind was following him, he must be sitting under a tree, pretending to meditate. Yasodhara must follow him. He loved that woman. And he must be feeling guilty because he has left that woman and without saying anything to her. Nowhere it is mentioned that he thought about Yasodhara. But I say, he must have thought. It is so human, it is so natural. To think that he never thought again of Yasodhara will be too inhuman and would not be fair to Buddha. Only by and by, long struggle, and he would have been able to throw the mind. But it will persist, because mind is nothing but society. Society internalized. The society has entered in you. That is your mind. You can escape from society, the outer reality, but the inners will follow you. Many times he must have been talking with Yasodhara, with his father, with his small child he has left behind. The face of the child must follow. It was there in his mind when he left. The night he left, he went in Yasodhara's room just to see the child for the last time. And the child was only 1 day old. Yasodhara was sleeping. And the child was clinging to her breast. He looked at the child. He wanted to take the child into his hands because this is the last. He has not touched him yet. And he may not return ever, or there will be no meeting. He is leaving the world. He wanted to touch and kiss the child, but then he became afraid. Because if he takes the child up in his hands, Yasodhara might be awakened. And then it will be very difficult for him to leave if she starts weeping and crying. He has a human heart. And it is beautiful that he thinks of it. That if she starts crying, it will be very difficult for him to leave. And then all that he has created in his mind, that this world is useless, futile, will disappear. He will not be able to see Yasodhara crying. He loved that woman. So he left. He moved out of the room without making any noise. This man cannot leave Yasodhara and the child easily. No one can leave. When he will be begging. It is bound to come to his mind, his palace and everything. And he was a beggar on his own account. This past will persist. It will hammer the mind again and again. Come back. Many times he will think, I have made a mistake. It is bound to be so. Nowhere it is recorded. And sometimes I think to make a diary. What happened to Buddha's mind? for those 6 years a day, what happened to his mind? What was going on? Mind will follow like a shadow wherever you go. So it is not going to be easy. It has never been for anyone. It will be a long struggle to make yourself again and again alert, again and again to be a witness, again and again not to fall a victim. And to the very last, the mind follows, unless in desperation, unless feeling that you are incurable. Now nothing can be done. The mind stops haunting you. It will try in every way. It will create fantasies, reveries, dreams, all types of allurement, seductions it will create. That's what is written in all the lives of all the seers, that Satan comes, the devil comes to seduce. No one comes, only your mind. Your mind is the only devil and no one else. It will try in every way. It will say to you, I will give you the whole world, come back. It will make you depressed that you are a fool. The whole world is enjoying and you have come to this hilltop. You are mad. And this all religion is humbug, come back. Look, the whole world is not insane. And they are enjoying. And the mind will give such beautiful pictures of everyone who is enjoying. And the whole world will be more attractive to you than ever. And all that you have left behind will pull you backwards. And this is the basic struggle. And this is because the mind is just a mechanism of habits, mechanical persistence. That hilltop, the mind will feel like hell. Nothing is good here. Everything is wrong. The mind will create all negativity around you. But what you are doing here, are you gone mad? The world that you have left behind will become more and more beautiful in the eyes. And the place you are will become more and more ugly. But if you persist and if you remain aware that this is how mind will do, this is how mind is bound to do. And if you don't get identified with the mind, a moment comes when the mind leaves you and with it all the pressures. When the mind leaves you, you are so unburdened because that is the only burden. Then there is no worry, no thought, no anxiety. You have entered the womb of existence. Unworried, you float. A deep silence explodes within you. The sutra says, thence comes the end of mind pressures. In such solitude, in such loneliness, one thing has to be remembered more about it. The crowd has a deep pressure on you, whether you know it or not. Now, scientists working on animals have come to a very basic law. They say that every animal has a certain space as his territory. If you enter that space, then the animal becomes tense and they will attack you. Every animal has a certain space around him. He will not allow anybody to enter because the moment someone enters, he feels the pressure. You hear many birds singing in the trees. You don't know what they are doing. Scientists now say, after years of study, that whenever a bird is singing in the trees, he is doing many things. One, he is calling for her girlfriend. Another, he is making alert all the male competitors that this is his territory. Don't do it. And if someone enters in the territory, fight will ensue. And the girlfriend will just wait and see who wins, because who has territory will have her. He will just wait. And the one who wins will be there, and one who is defeated will have to leave. Every animal, by many means, by singing, sound, by body odors, creates a territory. No other competitor should enter the territory. You may have seen dogs pissing all around. Scientists say that they create territory by pissing. The dog will go and piss on this pole and on that pole. He will not piss on one place. Why? You can do it on one place. Why move so much? But he is creating territory. His urine has a particular odor. He creates a territory. No one should enter, otherwise it is dangerous. He lives secluded in his own territory, master of it. Many studies are on. They have tried to put many animals in one cage. Their all needs are fulfilled, better than they can fulfill themselves in the forest. But they go mad because they don't have space. Always someone is around. They are tense, afraid, ready to fight. This constant readiness to fight gives such tension that there are heart failures. They go mad. Even animals commit suicide. The pressure becomes so much. And many abnormalities develop, which are never found in the wild state. Monkeys in the wild, they are totally different. When caged in a zoo, they start behaving abnormally. In the beginning it was thought it is bondage that is creating the problem, but now it is not the bondage. If you give them proper space that they need in a cage, they are happy, then there is no problem. But they have an intrinsic feeling of space. When someone enters that space, pressure comes to their mind. Their mind starts to be tense, a strain is there. They cannot sleep rightly, they cannot feed rightly, they cannot love rightly. Now scientists say, because of these studies, that the whole humanity is going crazy and mad because of too much population. The pressure is so much. You are never left alone. In the train, in the bus, in the office, everywhere crowd and crowd. Man has also a need of space to be left alone. But there is no place. You are never alone. You come to your home and the wife is there and the children are there and relatives. They go on coming. And they still think that the guest is God. You are already crazy because the pressure is too much all around you. And you cannot say to anyone, leave me alone. If you say to your wife, leave me alone, she will get angry. What do you mean? She has been waiting for you the whole day. Mind needs space to be relaxed. So this sutra is really beautiful and very scientific. Thence comes the end of mind pressures. When you move alone on a solitary hilltop, you have space all around you, endless space. The pressure of the crowd, the pressure of others around you leaves you. You will sleep more deeply. You will have a different quality of awakening in the morning. You will feel free. An inner pressure circle is not there. You will feel unimprisoned, unfettered. This is good. But we have become so much addicted to crowd that only for a few days, 3 or 4 days, you will feel good. And then the desire will arise to go again to the crowd. On every holiday you go, after 3 days, you want to come back. Because the pattern, the habit, you feel useless. Alone you feel useless. Alone you cannot do anything. And even if you do something, no one will be able to know. No one will see you doing it. No one will appreciate it. You cannot do anything alone because all your life you have been doing something for others. You feel useless. So remember, if you ever try this solitary madness, drop the idea of utility. Be useless, only then you can be alone. Because really utility has been forced on your mind by the society. The society says, be of some utility. Don't be useless. Because the society wants you to be an economic unit, a thing, efficient, utilitarian. The society doesn't want you to be just a flower. No. Even if you are a flower, then you must be worth being sold. The society needs you to be in the market. You must have some utility. Only then you are of use, otherwise you are of no use. The society goes on preaching that use is the goal of life. Purpose is the goal of life. This is nonsense. I'm not saying be useless. I'm saying this use is not the goal. You have to live in the society, be useful to you, but remain capable of any moment to be useless. That capacity must be retained. Otherwise you become a thing and you are not a person. When you move into solitariness, aloneness, this will become a problem. You will feel yourself useless. I have been working with many people. Sometimes I suggest them to go for 3 weeks or 3 months into total loneliness, silence. And I tell them that after 7 days you would like to come back and you will argue within your mind all the reasons not to be there and come back. Don't listen to those arguments. Make it a fixed point that for the time you have decided you will not leave. They say to me, but I'm going on my own will. Why should I leave? I tell them that you don't know yourself. This will not be there for more than 3 or 7 days. And afterwards you will long. Because society has become alcoholic. It is an intoxicant. In sober moments you can think to be alone. But when you are alone within 3 days, you will feel what I am doing. It is useless. So I tell them that be useless and don't think in terms of utility. Sometimes it has happened. They have remained there for 3 weeks or 3 months. And then they come and they say it was beautiful. I was very happy. But this idea continued to hammer. That what is the use? I was happy, they say. Very silent. I enjoyed it. But this idea was constantly in the background. What is the use? What I am doing? Remember, use is for society. Society uses you. And you use society. This is a reciprocal arrangement. But life is not for any use. It is non-utilitarian, purposeless. It is a play, a celebration. So when you move into solitariness to do this technique, be from the very beginning prepared that you are going into uselessness. And enjoy it, don't feel sad about it. The mind will bring such arguments you cannot conceive. It will say the world is in such trouble and you are sitting in silence here. Look what is happening in Vietnam and what is happening in Pakistan and what is happening in China. And your country is dying. The food is not there. The water is not. And what are you doing here? Meditating. What is the use? Will it bring socialism to the country? Mind will bring beautiful arguments. Mind is the great arguer. It is the devil. It will try to persuade you. It will convince you that you are wasting time. But don't listen to it. From the very beginning, be prepared that I am going to waste time. I will not be of any use. I will simply enjoy being there. And don't be concerned, remain concerned with the world. The world goes on. It is always in trouble. It has been always in trouble and it will remain always in trouble. That is the way of the world to be. You cannot do anything. So don't try to be a great world reformer, a revolutionary, a mashah. Don't try to be. You simply be yourself and enjoy your solitariness. Just like a rock, or a tree, or a river. Useless. What is the use of a rock? Just lying there under the rains, under the sun, under the stars. What is the use of this rock? No use, the rock enjoyed itself to be that way. Just be a rock. There are rock gardens in Japan, in Zen monasteries. They make rock gardens, particularly for this. No trees in the garden, just sand and rock. A solitary rock, just sitting there. And the master says to the disciple, go and be just a rock, just like that rock. Don't be bothered about the world, that rock remains there. Whatsoever happens to the world, it is not worried. It is always in meditation. Unless you are really prepared to be useless, you cannot be solitary, you cannot be in solitude. And once you know the depth of it, you can come back to the society. You must come. Because solitariness is not a style of life. It is just a training. It is not a way of life. It is just a deep relaxation to change the perspective. It is just falling out of a step from society, to have a look of yourself, who you are, alone. So don't think that this is a style of life. Many have made it a style of life. They are in error. They are absolutely in error. They have made a medicine food. It is not a style of life. It is just medicinal. You fall out for a time being just to have a perspective, the distance, to see what you are and what the society is doing to you. When you are out of it, you can have a better look. You can observe. Without concern, without in it, you can become an observer. From the hilltop, you can become a witness. You are so far away. Unprejudiced, undisturbed, you can look. So, this is not a way of life. I am not saying that leave the world and become hermits somewhere in the Himalayas. No. But sometimes to live, relax, be useless, alone, and just like a rock, independent, free from the world. Be a part of nature. You will be rejuvenated, reborn, come back, move in the society, in the crowd again, and try to carry that beauty, that silence that happened to you when you were alone. Carry it now. Don't lose contact with it. Move, be in the crowd, but don't become a part of it. Let the crowd be there, outside you, you remain alone. And when you become capable of being alone in the crowd, you have achieved real aloneness. Because it is easy to be alone on a hilltop. The whole nature helps you, and nothing is a barrier. To be back in the marketplace, in the shop, in the office, in the family, and remain alone, then it is an achievement. Then something you have achieved, and it was not just accidental. It had not happened because of the hills. Now the quality of consciousness has changed. So remain alone in the crowd. The crowd will be there outside, but don't allow it to enter in. Protect whatsoever you have gained there. Defend it. Don't allow it to be disturbed. And whenever you feel that the feeling has become dull, that you are missing it, that the society has disturbed it, that the dust has gathered around, that the fresh spring is no more fresh, it is polluted, move again, fall out of the society, to renew it, to make it more again alive. Come back, move in the crowd again. A moment will come that that original spring will remain fresh, and no one will be able to pollute it, to contaminate it. Then there is no need to move anywhere. So this is just a technique, not a style of life. Don't become a monk, don't become a nun, don't move to a monastery to live there forever. That is nonsense. Because if you live forever in a monastery, you will never be able to know whether whatsoever you have attained, or just the monastery has given it to you. Again, it may be accidental, not essential. The essential has to be tested. The essential has to be put against the society. The essential has to be brought to the touchstone. And when it never breaks, and when you can depend on it, when nothing can change it, then it has become a crystallization. Second technique, consider the plenum to be your own body of bliss. The second is concerned with the first. Consider the space to be your own body of bliss while meditating on a hilltop. Endless space before you. You can do it. Consider it to be filled with your own body of bliss. There are 7 bodies. The bliss body is the last body. So the more you enter within, the more you feel yourself to be blissful. You are nearing the bliss body, the layer of bliss. It is just around your essential soul. The first body from within, outwards. The last body from without, inwards. Just around your being, the essential soul, is the layer of bliss. And that is called bliss body. Sitting on a hilltop, looking at the endless sky, feel that the whole space, the whole plenum is filled with your bliss body. Your bliss body has increased, and the whole space is filled with it. How you will feel it? Because you don't know what bliss is. How to imagine it? So, it will be better to try first to feel that the whole space is filled with silence, not with bliss. Filled with silence. And the nature will be helpful about it. Because in nature, even noises are silent. In cities, even silence is noisy. Natural sounds are silent because they don't disturb. They are harmonious. So don't think that silence is necessarily soundlessness. No. A musical sound can be silence because it is so harmonious. It doesn't disturb you. Rather, it deepens your silence. So when you move in nature, the breeze is blowing, the stream, the river, the wind, whatsoever sounds are there. They are harmonious. They make a whole. They are not disturbing. You can listen to them, and the very listening will deepen your silence. So first feel that the whole space is filled with silence. Feel it deeply that it is going more and more silent. The sky has become silence around you. And when you feel that the sky has become silence, only then try this to be filled with bliss. Because as silence deepens, you will have the first glimpse of bliss. As tension increases, you have the first glimpse of misery, strain. As silence deepens, you will feel at ease, at home, relaxed. The first glimpse of bliss will be coming to you. And when that glimpse comes, then you can feel it. Then you can imagine that now the whole space is filled with that bliss. Consider the planet to be your own body of bliss. Whole sky becomes your body of bliss. You can do it separately. No need to join it with the first. But the same requirements are needed. Space, endless. Silence. No human beings around you. Why this insistence of no human beings around you? Because the moment you see a human being, you start reacting in the old ways. You cannot see a human being without reacting. Something or other will happen to you immediately.
Discourse number 29, tape 2.
He brings you back to your old patterns. If you don't see human beings, you forget that you are human. And this is good to forget that you are human, part of society. It is good to remember that simply you are. You don't know what. You don't belong to anybody, to any society, to any group, to any religion. This non-belonging will be helpful. So it will be good if you move alone somewhere and do this, practice this. Alone this technique will be helpful. But remember to start with something that you can feel. Otherwise I have seen people doing techniques which they cannot feel. If you cannot feel, if you don't have any experience, even of a glimpse, then the whole thing becomes false. One man came to me and he said, I am practicing, but God is everywhere. So I asked him, how can you practice? What do you imagine? Have you any taste? Any feel of God? Only then it will be easy to imagine. Otherwise, you will be simply thinking that you are imagining. Nothing will happen. Remember this for any technique you do, that in the starting, you must do something you are acquainted with. You may not be acquainted totally with it, but a little glimpse will be necessary. And only then you can progress, step by step. But don't jump into something which is absolutely unknown to you, then you cannot feel it and you cannot imagine it. Because of this, many masters, particularly Buddha, dropped completely the word God. He said, you cannot work with it. It is the very end. And you cannot bring the end in the beginning. So begin from the very beginning. He said, forget the end will follow automatically. So he says to his disciples, don't think of God, think of compassion. Think of love. So he doesn't say that feel that everywhere is God. You simply feel compassion for everyone who is there. For the tree, for human beings, for animals. You simply feel compassion. Feel sympathetic. Create a love. Because love you know, howsoever little. But there has been something like love in everybody's life. You may not have loved, but someone may have loved you. At least your mother. You must have looked in her eyes. She loved you. Just be motherly to existence, Buddha says. And feel deep in compassion. Feel that the whole world is filled with your compassion. And then everything else will follow. Remember this as a basic law. Start always with something you can feel. And only then the unknown can enter through it. Enough?
Gyan Bhairav Tantra, Volume 2, The Book of the Secrets, a new commentary. Discourse number 30, given in Bombay, India.
First question. Confrontation of oneself in aloneness is very fearful, very painful. What to do? It is fearful and it is painful. And one has to suffer it. Nothing should be done to avoid. Nothing should be done to divert the mind. Nothing should be done to escape from it. One has to suffer it and go through it. This suffering, this pain, is just a good symbol that you are near a new birth. And every birth is preceded by pain. It cannot be avoided, and it should not be avoided because it is part of your growth. This pain and this suffering is known traditionally really as tapasya, austerity. This is the meaning of tap, of arduous austerity, effort. But why this pain is there? It should be understood, because understanding will help you to go through it. And if you go through it knowingly, you will come out of it more easily and sooner. Why there is pain when you are alone? The first thing, your ego gets ill. Your ego can exist only with others. It has grown in relationship. It cannot exist alone. The situation in which it can exist is no more. It feels suffocated. It feels just on the verge of death. And this is the deepest suffering. You feel as if you are dying. Not that you are dying, but only the ego that you have taken to be yourself, with which you have become identified. It cannot exist. It has been given to you by others. It is a contribution. When you leave others, you cannot carry it with yourself. Think this way. You are in a society. People think you are a very good person. This goodness cannot exist when you are lonely and alone. Because this was what people were thinking about you. Now those people are no more there. Your image cannot be helped. It has become foundationless. By and by it will disappear. And you will feel very bad. Because you were such a good person. And now you are no more. And not only that, only good people will suffer. If you are a bad person, that too is given by others to you. That too is a way of getting attention. When many people consider you bad, they give you attention. They cannot be indifferent to you. They have to be aware of you. You are somebody, a bad man, dangerous. When you move into loneliness, you become nobody. That bad image will disappear. And you were feeding on that. Your ego was feeding on it. So bad men and good men are not basically different. Both are gaining their egos. Their mediums differ, but their goals are the same. Because the bad also depend on others, the good also. They exist in a society. The saint and the sinner, they exist in society. Alone, you are neither a saint nor a sinner. So all that you know about yourself will fall. By and by it will disappear. So you can prolong your ego only for a certain period. And that too you will have to do through imagination. But you cannot prolong it for long. Without society, you are uprooted. The soil is not there from where to get food. This is the basic pain. A dispersing personality. A dissolving personality. You are no more sure who you are. But this is good. Because unless this false you disappear, the real cannot emerge. Unless completely vast, you become again clean, the real cannot emerge. This false is occupying the throne. It must be dethroned. Living in solitariness, all that is false. And all that is given by society is false. Really, all that is given is false. All that is born with you is real. All that is you are by yourself, not contributed by someone, is real, authentic. But the false must go. And this false has much investment. You have invested in it so much. You have been looking after it so much. All your hopes hang around it. So when it dissolves, it starts dissolving. You will feel fear, afraid, trembling. What you are doing to yourself, destroying your whole life, the whole structure. Fear will be there, but one has to go through this fear. Only then you will become fearless. I don't say you will become brave. No, I say you will become fearless. Bravery is just part of fear. Howsoever brave you are, the fear is hidden behind. I say fearless. You will not be brave. There is no need to be brave when there is no fear. Bravery and fear both become irrelevant. They are both aspects of the same coin. So your brave men are nothing but you, standing on their head, just in Sirsasana. Your bravery is hidden within you, and your fear is on the surface. Their fear is hidden behind, and their bravery is on the surface. So when you are alone, you are very brave. When you think about, you are very brave. When a real situation comes, you are fearful. It is said about soldiers, the greatest of them, that before going to the front, they are as afraid as anyone. The inside is trembling. But they will go. They will push aside this trembling into the unconscious. And the more the inner trembling is there, the more they will create a facet around them, that they are brave. They will create an armor. And you look at that armor. It looks brave. Deep they are filled with fear. One becomes fearless only when one has gone through the deepest fear of all, and that is dissolving of the ego, dissolving of the image, dissolving of the personality. This is death. Because you don't know that a new life is going to emerge out of it. In the process you will know only death. Only when you are dead, as you are, the false entity, then you will come to know that the death was just a door to immortality. But that will be the end. In the process you are simply dying. Everything is being taken away from you that you cherished so much. Your personality, ideas, all that you thought is beautiful, all is leaving you. You are being denuded. All the roles and robes are taken away. In the process fear will be there. But this fear is basic, necessary, inevitable. One has to pass through it. So you should understand it, but don't try to avoid it. Don't try to escape it, because every escape will be again back. You will move into the personality. Those who go into deep silence and solitude, they always ask me, the fear will be there. So what to do? And I tell them not to do anything, just to live the fear. If trembling comes, tremble. Why? Prevent it. If an inner fear is there and you are shaking with it, so shake with it. Don't do anything. Allow it to happen. It will go by itself. If you avoid it, you can avoid. You can start chanting Rama, Rama, Ram. You can cling to a mantra. Then your mind is diverted. You will be pacified. And the fear will not be there. But you have pushed it into the unconscious. It was going out and it was good. You were going to be freed from it. It was leaving you. And when it leaves you, you will tremble. That's natural. Because every cell of the body and of the mind is leaving some energy, which has been always there, pushed down. So there will be a shaking, a trembling. It will be just like an earthquake. The whole soul will be disturbed by it, but let it be. Don't do anything, that's my advice. Not even chanting the name of Ram. Not trying anything to do with it. Because all that you can do will be against suppression. Just allowing it to be. Letting it to be. It will leave you. And when it has left, you will be a different man altogether. The cyclone has gone. And you will be now centered. As centered as never before. And once you know the art of letting things to be, you have known one of the master key which opens all the inner doors. Then whatsoever is the case, let it be. Don't avoid it. If just for 3 months, you can be in total solitude, in total silence, not fighting with anything, and allowing everything to be whatsoever it is, within 3 months, the old will be gone, and the new will be there. But the secret is allowing it to be, howsoever fearful, painful, howsoever apparently dangerous, death-like. Many moments will come when you will feel that you will go mad if you don't do anything. Involuntarily you will start doing something. You may know that nothing can be done, but you will not be in your control. You will start doing something. It is just like you are passing from a dark street in the night, midnight, and you feel fear. There is no one, and the night is dark, and the street is unknown. You start whistling. You know what whistling can do. Or you start to sing a song. You know nothing can be done by singing a song. The darkness cannot be dispelled. You remain alone, but still, it diverts the mind. If you start whistling, just by whistling, you gain confidence. You forget the darkness. Your mind moves into whistling, and you start feeling good. Nothing has happened. The street is the same, the darkness is the same, the danger, if there is any, it is there. But now you feel more protected. The same. You can do something. You can start chanting a name, a mantra. And that will be a sort of whistling. It will give you strength. But that strength is dangerous. Because that strength again will become a problem. That strength is going to be to your old ego. You are reviving it again. Remain a witness and allow whatsoever happens. Fear has to be faced to go beyond it. Anguish has to be faced to transcend it. And the more authentic the encounters, face to face, looking at things as they are, the sooner the happening will be there. It takes time only because your authenticity is not intense. So you may take 3 months, 3 years, or 3 lives. It depends on the intensity. Really, 3 minutes can also do. 3 seconds can also do. But then you will have to pass through a tremendous hell in such an intensity that you may not be able to bear it, to tolerate it. If one can face whatsoever is hidden in oneself, it passes. And when it has gone, you are different. Because all that has left you was part of you before. Now it is no more a part. So don't ask what to do. There is no need to do anything. Non-doing, witnessing, effortlessly facing whatsoever is. Not even any slight effort. Just allowing it to be. Be passive and let it pass. It always passes. When you do something, that is the undoing. Because then you interfere. And who will interfere? Who is afraid? That which is the disease. That same disease will interfere. The same ego which has to be left behind will interfere. I told you that the ego is part of the society. You have left the society. You don't want to leave the part that society has given to you. It is rooted in the society. It cannot live without society. So either you have to leave it or you have to create a new society in which it can live. So you can create an alternate society. That is one of the greatest tricks of the mind. It has always been so. You can create a different society. You can create an ashram. 20 people who think that they want to live in solitude, they can create a monastery. Then the monastery has become an alternate society. So they move from the society, but they create another society. So nothing basically changes. They remain the same. Rather on the contrary, they may become more egoistic. Because now they are chosen few, elect. They have left the world. But they have created another world. And the same pattern of relationship moves again. then the chief is there, then the disciples are there, and the master is there, and all hierarchy and everything comes in a miniature form. And then there are good disciples, and then there are bad disciples, and then there are successful ones and the failure ones. So same, in a small group, the whole society has come back. That will not do. Now this is happening in the West. A great number of young people are leaving the society because they feel the society is rotten, decadent, dying. And they feel this is so decadent that this cannot be changed. And this is a very new thing. Always young people think that the society is rotten, but they think it can be changed, transformed. So a revolution is needed. Only in the last stage of a society or a civilization, this happens when young people start thinking that nothing can be done. All revolution is nonsense. The society is so dead that you cannot revive it and you cannot change it. You just drop out of it. You cannot do the house is on fire, you simply escape from it. This is what is happening in the West. Hippies, beatniks, hippies and others dropping out of the society. But they are creating another society, alternate society. Then hippies themselves have become an alternate society. In the ordinary society, if you have long hairs, they will look at you that you are gone astray. Something is wrong. In the hippie society, if you have short hairs, you are wrong. Something is wrong with you. So what is the difference? In the ordinary society, if you live in a dirty way, you are wrong, unmannerly, uneducated, uncultivated, unacceptable. But in a hippie society, if you live very cleanly, then something is wrong about you. Then you are still clinging to the old mind of cleanliness, which said cleanliness is second to God. God has died long time before. Now the cleanliness has also died. It cannot exist without God. But the same condemnation and the same appreciation is there. You can create an alternate society with just the opposite rules, but it makes no difference. Your ego can feed again. It has been transplanted. A new soil has been found. To be solitary means don't create an alternate society. Just move of society, move out of it. And whatsoever society has given you will leave you. It can exist only in the milieu, in the social milieu. It cannot exist out of it. You will have to drop it. It will be painful because you are so adjusted to it. Everything is so arranged. It has become such a comfort to be adjusted. Everything is convenient. When you change and move alone, you are leaving all comforts, all conveniences, all that society can give. And when society gives something to you, it takes also something from you, your liberty, your soul really. So it is an exchange. And when you are trying to get your soul in its purity, you have to stop the bargain. It will be painful, but if you can pass through it, the highest bliss is just near. The society is not so painful as loneliness. Society is tranquilizing. It is convenient, comfortable. But it gives you a sort of sleep. If you move out of it, inconvenience is bound to be there. All types of inconvenience will be there. Those inconveniences have to be suffered with understanding that that is part of solitude and part of regaining yourself. This is tap, this is austerity. And you will come new out of it with a new glory and dignity, new purity and innocence. Second question. Last night you said that total aloneness is the essential nature, is the ultimate reality of man. On other day you explained that individuality is false and man is a wave in the organic whole of existence. How is a reconciliation possible between aloneness and wholeness? There is no need of any reconciliation. Aloneness is wholeness. But aloneness doesn't mean individuality. You are an individual because of the society. When you are totally alone, you will not be an individual. Individual means part of a society, a unit of a society. When you are in the crowd, you are an individual. When you move out of crowd, not only crowd is dropping behind, the individual also is dropping behind. That individuality was given to you. Individuality and society were two poles of one phenomenon. Alone, you are not an individual. Individual has to exist in a pattern of society. Just as I said, alone you are neither good nor bad. Alone you are neither sage nor sinner. Alone you are neither beautiful nor ugly. Alone you are neither wise nor fool. Both the dualities drop. The dichotomy drops. Individual exists in the society. Individual is the unit of the society. Alone you are not an individual. So don't think that alone you will become an individual. No, you will not be an individual. There is no society. How can you be an individual? You will be there. And that aloneness will be wholeness. The ego will drop. The ego gives you the feeling of individuality. Alone doesn't mean that you are an individual. Alone means now the dichotomy of society and individual is no more there. This will give you wholeness. You are not part of anything now. You have become the whole. This is difficult to express because in language it appears absurd. You cannot imagine how alone you will not be an individual. Because if you think and imagine yourself on the hilltop, sitting alone somewhere in a Himalayan cave, you will think yourself as an individual. Because you don't know what aloneness is. Aloneness means all thought, all mind, all individuality that was given to the society has been left behind. You will become just a space, an emptiness, nobody. Sitting in a Himalayan cave, there will be no one who is sitting, just a space. Buddha was meditating under a tree, full moon night, and some young people had come to the forest. They had brought much alcohol with them and a young prostitute. But they took so much alcohol and they became so intoxicated that the prostitute escaped. When they became aware that the girl has left them, they started to search her where she has gone. In their search, they reached Buddha, who was sitting under a tree meditating. So they asked him, "You must have seen a young, beautiful, nude girl passing from here, because this is the only way. And this is a full moon night, so you must have seen a beautiful young girl nude passing from here. Have you seen her?" Buddha opened his eyes and said, "Someone has passed. But I cannot say whether she was, the one who passed was a woman or a man. I cannot say whether the person who passed was beautiful or ugly. And I cannot say whether the person who passed was clothed or naked. Someone has passed. I heard the footprints." But they were amazed. They said, "This is impossible." Buddha says, "I could not have believed this before myself. When I was a part of society, it was impossible. But now I have left the society, and I have left all the conceptions of the society. Now only nature happens around me. So I heard the sound, someone passing. Just the sound was there, which reached into my inner space. That's all. Someone has passed." You become a silent inner space. You are not an individual, because you are not a mind. To drop the mind, solitude is suggested, and with the mind everything drops. A moment comes when you don't know who you are, and that is the moment from where real knowledge will start. A moment comes when you forget completely who you are. All that you knew before is no more there. All the old leaves have fallen. Now this is the moment. There will be an interval for a time being. This interval will be of much anguish, because the old has left and the new has yet not come. When the old leaves drop from the tree will be naked for a few days, just waiting for the new to emerge. The new are coming. They are on the way. The old have left the place. The place is vacant now. Now the new are flowing towards that space. Sooner or later they will emerge, and you will have to wait. While meditating in aloneness, the society will drop, the mind will drop, the ego will drop, and there will be a gap. You will have to pass that gap also. Now the tree is waiting for the new leaves to come. And you cannot do anything what the tree can do. To bring them sooner, nothing can be done. They will take their own course. This is good that the old have dropped. Now the place is there. Space is there for the new to emerge. Now there will be no barriers. So there is the autumn of inner mind. Leaves will drop. It will be painful. You lived with those old leaves so long. You will feel you are losing. And then there will be a winter of waiting. An inner winter. When you will be nude with no leaves. A naked tree against the sky. And you don't know what is going to happen. Now everything has stopped. Now no bird comes to sing on your branches. Now no one comes under its shadow to wait, to relax. Now you are not in any way aware whether you are dead or a new life is going to happen. This is the gap, the interval. Christian mystics have called it the dark night of the soul, before the sunrise. All artificial lights are put off. The night has become very dark. And the nearest moment when the sunrise is going to be there will be the darkest. So there is a winter of inner soul, when there are no leaves and no birds sing, and no one comes to wait under you and relax. You feel dead, everything has stopped. All movement is gone. This has to be passed, and then there will be spring, new leaves will come, new life, eternity, new flowers. A total new dimension will appear within you. But remember the winter, remember the autumn, and only then the spring is possible. The autumn is also part of the spring, if you can understand. It is clearing the way, making the way for the spring to happen. So autumn is not against it, just the beginning of it. And the gap is also necessary, because in the gap you become ready. The old has left. You are not tormented by it now, not burdened by it. You are pregnant. But pregnancy is waiting. The new child is growing. Before it emerges, manifests in the world, it will have to hide deep in the unconscious. Because every seed has to go deep in darkness, underneath, hidden. Only then life happens to it. You put the seed in sunlight and nothing will happen to it. it needs deep darkness, the womb. So there will be winter. When you are pregnant, when all movement has ceased, you will have to carry the burden. Consciously, understandingly, lovingly, hoping, praying, waiting. And then the spring will be there. It has been always so. Man is also a tree. And remember, aloneness is wholeness. They are not contradictory. Ego is part. Ego cannot be whole. Ego is fragmentary. The ego is against the whole. In aloneness, ego disappears. You become one with the whole. The boundary disappears. When you are really alone, you are the cosmos. You are Brahman.